So Cassie entered the courtroom and she did not make any eye contact with Sean Combs as she made her way to the witness stand. She was wearing a very similar outfit to the day before, a turtleneck long sleeve dress that went all the way to the floor and a long overcoat. And when she made her way to the witness stand, she was stoic and she looked at peace to be there. Many of us by now have seen that infamous video of Sean Combs brutally beating Cassie Ventura at that Los Angeles hotel in 2016. Well, what we didn't necessarily know is that a few days later, she had a movie premiere for a film that she was in called The Perfect Match. And she described to the courtroom, to the jurors today, that she actually had a black eye from that beating, that she had bruising on her body, and that she had to wear copious amounts of makeup to cover it up. And prosecutors actually put forth some photos, which were exhibits that they showed the jury today, and you could see some visible bruising on her legs and on her arm. So for the second day in a row, prosecutors have played that video of Combs brutally beating her at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles in 2016. And this is obviously an incredibly traumatic moment for her, but she is sitting there stoic. She is watching it. You can tell that this is upsetting for her, but she is managing to keep her composure. Because remember, the day before, she broke down more than once in tears. So Cassie is 8 months pregnant. She's in her third trimester. I mean, she looks like she's about to imminently give birth. Anybody out there that's been pregnant knows how uncomfortable you get towards the end of your pregnancy. So you can tell at different times that she's shifting in her seat. She's kind of catching her breath because maybe the baby is pushing on her diaphragm. And she's sitting there, and you can tell that it's not been easy for her to sit for those long periods of time. And every now and then they take some breaks. We had really seen a show of force from Combs' family on the first few days of court. But today you're seeing his mother, you're seeing some friends, you're seeing only one of his children, King Combs. It's unclear as to why all of his children weren't there that had been there previous days. Maybe they had commitments, or perhaps this testimony is so graphic that maybe Combs might not want his children hearing about his sex life and what happened between him and Cassie. So Combs looks incredibly stressed. This is a far different version than I have seen at all of the pretrial hearings leading up to this moment. Usually he's smiling, he's hugging his attorneys, he's looking back at his family. On one day, he even blew a kiss to his family during the trial. But during Cassie's testimony, you can see him intently listening and looking stressed. And on the first day of her testimony, he actually turned around and looked at his family. I was actually in the courtroom for some of Cassie's testimony, and you could tell that Combs was incredibly stressed out. At one moment, he even turned around and looked at his children on the first day of her testimony. His eyes widened, and you could see him let out this visible exhale, a very different version than we had seen at those pretrial hearings where he seemed in really good spirits. You can tell that the pressure is getting to him. Combs is being very stoic. You can see him interacting with his attorneys. He's writing notes on Post-its. Every time the prosecutors put forth an exhibit, he's looking at the computer screen in front of him. He's putting on his glasses to make sure that he can read whatever is on the screen or see it. And he's very intently listening to Cassie's testimony. And you can also see him looking over often at the jurors. The jurors have seen several things on the second day of Cassie's testimony, and one of them are several photos of escorts that Cassie allegedly hired to participate in these freak-offs between herself with the escort, and Sean Combs. Now, she says that she was directed by Combs to hire these escorts, and we saw several photos of them, and she would say where they met for freak-offs, what cities, what hotels, and she would try to give as much information as she could. Other things that she recounted was an incident like on her 29th birthday, where she said that she just wanted to go out and celebrate with her friends. She went to a karaoke bar in Los Angeles, and she just wanted to have a good time. And she said that Combs allegedly continued to pressure her into having a freak-off, that he showed up to the party, she didn't expect him to be there, and he kept pulling her out of the karaoke room to the point that she finally acquiesced and she left with him. We're actually learning more about what happened after that violent assault at the hotel in Los Angeles. We now know that she left the Intercontinental Hotel in an Uber, she went home, and that Combs continued to message her saying, "Please call me, The police are here. I'm getting arrested. But there's no proof that police ever actually showed up to that hotel. Where police did show up is that when Cassie returned to her apartment, a friend of hers by the name of Carrie Gordon was there. And she said that Carrie had allegedly seen her with bruises and black eyes before, so this was nothing new. But this time, Carrie Gordon called the police and they showed up and they questioned Cassie about what happened. And she says that she told police what had happened, but she refused to tell them Combs' name because she said that she just didn't want to do that to him. A lot of Cassie's second day of her testimony has centered around these freak-offs. Where did they occur? Who are the escorts that participated in those? Who paid for them? The prosecutors have been pulling up different exhibits and text messages between her and Combs talking about procuring these sex workers. And so they're trying to prove, the government, that Combs told Cassie to hire these escorts. So that is what they are trying to show. They're also trying to show through these text messages that Cassie didn't want to participate in these freak-offs and that she was forced to take part in them. But again, the burden of proof on the prosecutors is high, and it's going to take a lot to convince those jurors that she was forced to participate in these freak-offs and that she didn't have a way out. We know that the prosecutors plan to show some videos from these freak-offs. We don't know if everyone in the courtroom is going to get to see. Journalists and the public, they have a First Amendment right to be able to see those exhibits, but this is a debate that's been going on actually before court the last few days. Journalists have actually hired an attorney to represent them, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But in the meantime, jurors, they'll be given an individual screen. They have one that sits in front of them. They'll wear headphones, and only they will be able to see these videos from these freak-offs. One of the things that has come up multiple times, not just in the indictment, but in also Cassie's civil suit, is that these freak-offs allegedly were filmed most of the time, and that Combs hung these videos over Cassie's head as blackmail to silence her, to also force her to continue to participate in these freak-offs, and to force her to stay in this relationship, even when perhaps maybe she didn't want to. She actually recalled an incident in which she was at a nightclub in Atlantic City in which a person came up to her and said that they had seen one of these freak-off videos. So we're at actually the point in the testimony today where they're talking about how Combs was very worried about how someone could have gotten their hands on one of these videos. So who else? A lot of questions are coming up today. Who else has seen any of these freak-off videos? Did Combs ever share any of these with anyone? Who had access to those videos? Ventura also talked about the shame that she would take drugs to disassociate during these freak-offs, that she would take drugs like ketamine so that she would participate in these things and hopefully not remember having taken part in them. She also talked about being mortified at the idea that perhaps her mother would ever know that she was participating in things like this or ever even see one of these videos.
Do you know by chance how much longer they can hold her here before she might potentially go into labor?
I mean, you never know. She could give birth any day when you're that far along in your pregnancy, right? Like anything can happen, but they're hoping. But that's clearly one of the reasons why they're going ahead and they're putting her on the stand first. There had been discussion about postponing this trial, but clearly that didn't happen. And she's up there. Her testimony could last through the week. But again, they're trying to move through this, and the judge has even said that he's like a machine. He wants to be efficient and